And I have a certification, and it's hanging on the wall in my house.
At your bar?
Yeah.
I haven't been to his bar. I've never been to his house. Where's my invitation?
Oh my God, I'm giving it to you right now.
Greetings, movie fans. You're all very welcome to the Big Reviewski with Omniplex Cinemas and my OmniPass. My name is Owen Doherty, and this week I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by three of the fruitiest film friends a boy could ever wish for. Please welcome Justine Stafford. Everybody has Rory Cashin and Paul Moore. Paul? That works.
A solitary ooh.
No,
Just a little bit.
yeah. Paul, you weren't here last week. It's great to have you back. You did miss a particularly fruity episode of the show, though.
I watched. It was fruitalicious.
Yeah, and did anybody get back to you? Because, I was of the opinion that fruity meant that you were kind of being a little bit flirty with somebody.
Yeah, no,
I've
I've asked all of my friends, and all three of them said no.
No, it's not a
It's
thing.
a no from us.
Rory, Paul.
No, but we're two of the three friends. So.
Oh, okay. Oh, you did ask me as well. That's right.
did,
Okay.
My mind just went to
enough.
pina coladas and stuff like that. When you said fruity, that's my instant.
That's a good thing to
Okay.
go to.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no one else got in touch to kind of support my theory that fruity men flirting.
Nor should they.
So it looks like I was wrong. First time for everything. That's fine. I'd like to say we've got an amazing show coming up for you, but I don't know who our special guests are this week because we've actually got a very special big question on the Big Reviewski. More on that a little bit later. What we do have, though, even though it does say it now on the screen, it does say big question. We also have reviews of Spider-Man: Far From Home and Yesterday, which I know Justine is very excited about. And we also have some tickets to give away to see Annabelle Comes Home, the 37th film in the Conjuring universe. If you'd like to get in touch with the Big Reviewski,
No.
yeah,
Have you ever
you can
walked
tweet.
in the show? Have you ever really wanted
You can
to
tweet
get
us.
out and leave?
It like pinpointed the exact moments your friendship ended.
Yeah.
At Big Reviewski, or you can get in touch on Instagram, and don't forget to subscribe as well, because why wouldn't you want to?
Jokes like that. That's probably why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was rhetorical, but thanks for saying it to the audience as well. So first, it's time for this week's big question on the Big Reviewski, and for this week's big question, it's over to Rory Cashin.
Oh, okay. Good.
Isn't it?
Probably.
That's what it says here.
Well, you know, you just that one mistake.
Who knows?
So,
Who knows?
well, since we're 6 months in now officially, I thought it would be a good time to look back over 2019 so far, and first all to talk about who we think the best guest is we've had on the show so far, be it like a whole interview or specific moments. I was just wondering who you would all have picked.
So we've been blessed.
We have.
Blessed to have some amazing guests. All the way back from the start of the year, we had Everybody After Three. Our favorite director's name.
Oh,
Yorgos
Yorgos.
2, 3.
Yorgos
Lanthimos.
That sounds a bit culty.
Yeah, it does. Blessed be Yorgos Lanthimos.
He's got a bit of restraining order. We'll never ever chat to that guy again. And he's lovely as well.
Yeah.
Rory chatted to him as well.
But
You'll
apart
never
from
want to see him again.
we've had like gazillions of other. I think we've had Samuel L. Jackson about 14 times.
He is
already
he's
on the show.
a
big fan.
recurring
He
guest.
sleeps behind there.
Yeah, we keep him out the back. So we'll get to you very soon, Sam. But who did you go for, Rory? Who was your favourite?
Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, that was easy.
Knew it. I bloody knew.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was.
There he is.
There was some. I enjoyed that interview because he was exactly what I hoped chatting to Ryan Reynolds would be. I've said this to you before, and if anyone out there is watching this and they're in charge of the next Ryan Reynolds movie, I have an amazing first question I want to ask him, but I couldn't ask him for this because this was a kid's film.
Oh.
So there's like a long build up for a question I
Want
have
another
to
interview.
ask.
Yeah.
Have you got
Because I feel it will be really funny and he'll appreciate it because he's
he loves
Funny guy.
This sounds a little bit desperate, but it's fine. So is this like an 18 rated question? kids aren't allowed to
fairly innuendo-y.
Okay.
It's pretty
Should
heavy
it
on
even
the-
be asked with cameras in the room? Is this more of a question between you and Ryan Reynolds?
If Ryan and I, if he wants to just talk to me one-on-one with no cameras, who am I to say no?
This is descending into...
Or with just
severe
one camera?
No.
Okay, we've crossed.
What have you got here? What clip have you got here?
Oh, the clip here is him talking about the kind of Deadpool-y nature of Pikachu and him agreeing that Pikachu is a very, very, as he uses, snuggly character. And the way he says snuggly makes me think he snuggles a lot.
Took it to a place that they wouldn't even animate. They were just like, we're just not gonna.
It's gonna blur your mouth.
Yeah, but there was one controversial joke that I felt was fine for a movie of this caliber, for an all-audience kind of movie, but it got a little controversial behind the scenes. It was a big debate internally at Warner Brothers about this one joke, but it worked out. They didn't use it, but maybe they'll have it on the.
Oh, they
extras.
didn't use it because I thought it might have been the birth canal joke because that was.
No, it
Brilliant.
pushed it a little bit more than that, but it was more about letting the audience use their own imagination rather than me actually saying the thing that was in front of me. So it's fun because Pikachu just sort of has a running commentary over everything that he's doing.
Yeah.
All over. He's kind of, in a way, sort of like a version of Deadpool but that like everyone can see.
And a bit cuddlier.
Yeah,
than
lots
Deadpool too.
snugglier.
So, I was actually going to pick that very clip, Rory, because, but specifically even for that opening scene of just that moment whereby Ryan Reynolds.
Hey, Reynolds. What, Stafford?
That's
you're in
kind of
Rory's
the
head.
level. Yeah, no, because he's beautiful, and I did pick him as the person I wanted to go up there who I'd go for points with. It was him and Amy Schumer.
course.
Yeah, but anyway, I would have picked it just for that opening moment of him being like, "Try not to fall into my lap," and how you even conducted the rest of the interview still
Not in his lap.
baffles me. Yeah.
Disappointingly for you. So who did you go for
So
instead?
I was considering picking someone that I had interviewed, who was Bo Burnham, but I just was not happy with how much I fangirled. Not
Rory
my
with Ryan Reynolds.
with Rory, with everyone that he interviews.
He knows where their next date location is there. Yeah. He knows what he's ordering and everything.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the highlights for me. But the other highlight in interviews that I've watched had to be watching Rory witness the breakdown of Paul Rudd on screen as he tries to conduct an interview alongside Scarlett Johansson, because it is beautiful. Just seeing that man just start to realise, I don't want to be here any longer. It's so beautiful. Just to see him describing the bar. This scene here is just beautiful.
So this was Scarlett Johansson, Paul Rudd for Avengers Endgame, which is actually coming back in cinemas this week as well.
Didn't make
'cause
enough money last
Just
time.
not enough money. So just help that production really get over the line. But yeah, this was hilarious because loads of people in the comments for this video are like, Scarlett Johansson and Paul Rudd make an amazing pair. They're so good together, chemistry-wise. Yeah, there's something about
Look
Paul
at his
Rudd.
eye.
You
Look
cannot get
in
on with
his
Paul
eye.
Rudd.
No, I know.
You would have to be an absolute so-and-so not to enjoy Paul Rudd's company.
Yeah, but it's
The
like...
views on that video says that. I was like, people are watching that being like, oh my God. But look in his eyes. It's when she's saying she hasn't got an invite to the bar. And
He's like, there, now.
Now, yeah.
You're happy now. You got it.
yeah,
And she's not happy.
So this is Paul Rudd
Fantastic.
humouring Scarlett Johansson in Paul's...
As we all would, really.
in Roy's interview for Avengers Endgame.
He hasn't invited you over to his Irish pub in his house?
Oh, I thought you said he got an Irish. What is
I
it?
did. They gave me an honorary, like an Irishman. I have a certification, and it's hanging on the wall in my house.
Oh, at your bar.
Yeah.
I haven't been to his bar. I've never been to his house. Where's my invitation?
Oh my God! I'm giving it to you right now.
Well, no,
on
now it's
camera
after
in
the
front of
fact.
us.
It's after the fact. I don't want it. Okay,
Oh, she
I
doesn't
don't
want
want
it.
it. I'm moving
Well,
my arm
speaking-
away. I'm done.
Speaking of
I go drink in my own bar.
where was your invitation for him for your bar?
Well, I haven't made it yet.
Okay.
The bar.
Future tense.
Yeah, so-
Gotcha. Speaking of potentially a good time, please tell me, with the biggest film, one of the biggest films of all time, did it also have the biggest rap party?
Where is our rap party? Honestly, where is the rap party?
It's a great question.
Come on, Disney. What's up with that?
I would pay good money to go to Paul Rudd's bar and see it and check it out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
just spend like an evening drinking with him and his friends.
Yeah. And not Scarlett.
Oh no,
would
I'd be
say.
delighted if Scarlett was
I
there
mean,
as well. I'd
yeah.
be over
Like
the
if-
moon.
Just
If they
not
worked out
sure.
whatever these problems are, and she
Yeah,
managed to get
exactly.
the invite.
You were kind
then-
of like a mediator between them. That's what I felt watching that. I was like, he is like
Counselor Rory
Yeah,
Costner.
right. Well done.
Thank you. I appreciate
You
that.
kept the Avengers together.
Yeah, exactly. That's why they're back in cinemas this week, all because of you. Paul, who did you go for?
Unlike Justine, I'm a massive narcissist, so I'm going to go
Yeah,
for.
go for
I'm
you.
going to go for myself.
Amazing. That's the way to do it.
I'll open it. I admit
Yeah,
it.
you're honest. That's good.
Exactly. But this one was my chat with Kevin Costner, who I always admired. Grew up watching this wonderful mullet in Robin Hood when I was a kid. One of my earliest things I remember. And I'm just going for this because we've all done interviews, and usually you're given like. When you ever do these, you kind of look to camera, you chat to them, you obviously engage, but there's always people in the room who are like, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. But he was actually lovely to chat to. I was a bit afraid because, Jesus, it's Kevin Costner, he's an Oscar winner. And I'm always a bit nervous, that's probably why I look, even on camera now. But he was lovely, and he talked to me about a project that he really has a lot of passion for, kind of come across the interview, which is a Michael Collins film. He wanted to do, in the 90s he lived here, and the people behind the camera like wrap up the interview, and he said, and he kind of like, no, I want to keep talking. I get the impression, and it very seldom happens because you kind of get the formulaic answer on these junkets because they're tired and they hear the same questions over and over. I get the impression he could have stayed in that room for 10 minutes, not talking about to me, just because he liked the idea of that. But no, he really wants to make a Michael Collins film, and so yeah, here he is chatting about that.
I wanted to make the Michael Collins story. I still do. It was made by another, not the story I was going to make, but I loved the epic notion of Michael Collins, and I'd still like to make that movie someday. I found him an incredible character who was compromised by politics, and also people that outlive you can talk about you and write about you and can just But I think his story's coming up more and more as a person of. Just
unfortunately, with the political climate in Ireland, it actually is. Yeah, it's very relevant. That kind of.
Was a dynamic person, caught in politics, and for me, and so Michael Collins. That's why I went there. There was an ending line that was, "Oh God, Ireland, I love you." That was his last time. Now that was a fictitious moment in the movie, but I think it encapsulates who he was. God, Ireland, I love you. I was just. That always affected me.
That would be an amazing film if Kevin Costner does he want to play Michael Collins in the film as well?
But he's directed as well, so
I think he might be a bit old now.
I think he could be, but he has the clout. He can pretty much get anything off the ground. Like he is an Oscar winner, and
Kevin Costner winner.
Nice.
Costner.
That does it. Can you not mark yourself down for that one?
Yeah,
No.
I expected more.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Oh, that's really disappointed.
I tried. Trying. What are you doing?
Give yourself an X, please.
No.
It's the only way you'll learn. Like dog.
You said nice and then you said no.
No, I didn't.
You said give yourself an X. What?
So we're going to bring him to the bar, get him, Scarlett Johansson, Paul Rudd drinking, and they're going to make that film.
They're going to sort their problems out.
Exactly.
Actually, I'd like to see a film with Kevin Costner as the dad, D, and as Paul Rudd and Ryan Reynolds as the two brothers. Wouldn't that work?
Don't talk to him.
Wouldn't that work?
I take back what I said to you. That was
So the one that I went for is, I haven't done any interviews this year because I've been locked in this studio, but that's fine.
With Sam Jackson?
With me and Sam Jackson,
golf.
we're very happy together. Not a euphemism.
I'd watch that film.
We have had some amazing interviews throughout the year, but I've also gone for an Avengers Endgame clip. And it was the interview with Chris Hemsworth.
All right.
And it's not just because of his incredible ability to wear a cardigan.
That is quite the cardigan.
It's phenomenal. Like,
Cardi B.
I even made the mistake of thinking that I was like, would I get a cardigan like that?
Yeah.
No,
Would
you'd
I be
look
able
like
to wear-
you'd look like a 90-year-old granny in that.
I think I'd look like a 1970s serial killer if I wore one of those those
well,
cardigans.
that's fashion now.
But not only for his cardigan wearing ability, it was also because he was genuinely so interesting and seemed lovely to talk to, but gave really thoughtful answers whenever you were talking to him as well. And obviously whenever you were talking to him, Rory, it was before the film came out, and the character of Thor got a massive reaction because of the way it was portrayed, the way he was portrayed. And one of the questions you asked him, and this is the clip we have here, was how he feels about the changes that he's gone through.
As I found out later, oddly worded, big changes.
Yeah, exactly. Which was like kind of prophetic in terms of.
Rory's that good. He can even predict
Yeah.
what's
'Cause
happening.
I hadn't seen the film
Yeah,
at
that's
that
what I'd
point.
say.
It was one of the few films, because as we've all done interviews, the rule of thumb is you see the film before you talk to them,
Yeah.
because otherwise you're like, huh?
But because the Russo brothers are so secretive, nobody in the world saw it before doing the interviews, apart from the cast. But
I don't even know if they did.
maybe,
I know some of them
maybe
did.
they didn't. But it kind of adds more to his answer when you watch it back, having seen the film, seen the character, which, as you said, went through these big changes, and kind of the reaction that's had online since the release of the film then as well. So this is Chris Hemsworth talking about his character, Thor, in Avengers Endgame.
You played Thor now for 5 different directors, which is something that, like, outside of, I guess, the MCU, a lot of actors don't get to do unless it's like James Bond.
Sure.
Do you find yourself having a bit of ownership over who he is, or do you give yourself over completely to what the director's vision is?
Yeah, it's interesting. The first 3-4 films, I felt like I completely gave myself over to sort of whatever their vision was, and that had, some hugely positive things come from that, But also, I think looking back, I wish I'd spoken up at different times, and then by the third Thor, that was the first time I'd really kind of had a bigger voice and a bit of confidence in sort of what my creative sort of spin on it would be, and luckily it was in the same lane as what Taika wanted to do with that movie, and also the producers were ready for something new, and so it was great, and that gave me a greater sense of confidence coming into Infinity War and this, and if only I came into those films and I was very protective of what the new Thor was, and I said, I don't want to go back to the old Thor, and I want to keep doing this and so on, and then they said, well, we've got something different for you again, and at first I sort of hesitated. I thought, oh no, I'm going to lose control of it. But did sort of give into it, and then it became this wonderful collaboration, and I feel like I did something very different in Infinity War and in this film than I had done before. And so it's always it's a balance.
It's a tricky line, yeah.
While that clip was playing and nobody was listening or watching it, very serious debate was happening here in studio, whether you go for Ryan Reynolds or Chris Hemsworth. And your vote?
Ryan Reynolds.
Reynolds.
Chris.
Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd all the way. Oh, and Scarlett Johansson in. That's sorted.
No, just Paul Rudd.
Oh, okay. Just,
love Paul
that's the
Rudd.
only one allowed.
Who would yours be?
Out of Hemsworth and Ryan Reynolds? God, Hemsworth.
Great. I have it for
think
myself. Round mine.
Well, that's
We'll
sorted then.
we'll let them know.
Yeah.
I also love that full interview on because you can see Hemsworth absolutely loves the characters of Korg and Meek in that whole thing. You can see
That's
it on
right.
YouTube. And obviously Korg is the greatest character in the MCU universe, so I love
course.
that one for that.
Obviously.
In the history of film.
Deadpool. Throwback.
I can't wait for Deadpool's cameo appearance in Supersonic 2. That's going to be incredible.
Because then I'll get to talk to Ryan Reynolds again and ask him my questions.
Filthy question. Now it's time for the big trailer on this week's episode of The Big Reviewski, because that's
Okay.
where we are. And it's over to Paul for the big trailer. What do
Don't
you
really
got?
know how to really speak
Just start using the word
coherently
big
after
again.
that.
And
Yeah.
right.
So summer months and weeks kind of coming ahead. Still loads of really good stuff to see. We've got The Lion King. We've got Spider-Man. We'll be chatting about it a bit. We've got It. But usually in the summer, there's a film that kind of comes out maybe towards the end that maybe is a bit under the radar, maybe a bit counter programming. And from the looks of Ready or Not, I really tick my boxes. Actually, Rory sent it on to me and said, Paul, this is definitely you. So if you see this, you'll probably
really
know
is.
why. Basically, it revolves around a young bride played by Samara Weaving, who is Hugo's niece.
Not
Yes.
Margot Robbie.
Not
Sorry,
Margot
what?
Robbie. I know.
What?
She's
You know-
the absolute spit of Margot Robbie.
She looked identical
You're
to her on the
joking
side,
me.
yeah. She was in 3 Billboards. Remember at the end, Frances McDormand's bit of an asshole husband
Yes.
has a young wife.
Oh, yes.
That's her.
Right.
She looked like Margot Robbie in that.
No, but I was watching this earlier on my phone. I was like, this is Margot Robbie.
Yep. It's
not.
not Margot Robbie.
I know. It's on radio.
That's why you come to the
So-
big
sorry,
events
so
for
what's-
those kind
what's
of
that
big
actor's name?
Reviewskis.
Samara Weaving, Hugo
Samara
Weaving's niece.
Oh, amazing.
There you go.
Oh, I missed what Rory said. Oh, I'll watch it back.
The people can watch it back twice and get all its dialogue.
Amazing.
At once.
2 different conversations, one
conversations.
show. So about the film, she basically is a young bride, gets married into this kind of spooky ass family, and she's a bit unsure of herself. Before the ceremony has to happen, there's a ceremony goes place. Basically, they're all out to kill her.
It starts
That's
off like
it.
a game of hide and seek,
Yeah.
but it turns out it's quite murderous.
Yeah.
It is not what I thought to be the movie version of the Fuji song.
Definitely not. Weird adaptation.
Yeah, and I got a very good vibe from a kind of a film that kind of went under the radar. Adam Wingard's You're Next. I don't know if you've ever seen a really good home invasion horror with really tough, kick-ass heroine in it. In terms of cast here, you've got also Adam Brody, OC, Seth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's he been up to?
Just
Not a lot.
Growing some stubble by the looks
I
of
saw him
it.
in Looper. That's ages ago. I know.
I remember seeing him in
Curfew was a Sky show he was in
Jennifer's
recently.
Body,
Yes, he was.
where he was like.
Do you want
the,
the Maroon 5 money or do you want to sell your soul?
Yeah, he was like he was basically that Maroon 5 guy.
Yeah.
And the OC.
And we
That's
have
the last thing I remember.
the ultimate 90s throwback, Andy McDowell of Four
Amazing.
Weddings and a Funeral ilk. And this looks like 4 funerals and maybe a wedding. So it looks really good.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's very,
I like
very
that.
wow.
So this is a look at very wow. That's the way we're going to review everything.
Very wow.
Take a look at this very wow clip for Ready or Not.
I can't believe that in half an hour, I will be a part of the Ladomus Gaming Dynasty Empire.
Dominion. We prefer Dominion.
I honestly can't wait to be a part of your family.
There's just one more thing. And then you are officially part of the family. So, at midnight, you have to play a game.
Why
It's just something we do when someone new joins the family.
a game? What game? Hide and seek? Are we really gonna play that?
Well, the rules are simple. You can hide anywhere. We then try to find you.
So there's no way for me to win, right?
And stay hidden till dawn.
No, thank you.
Good luck.
This trailer had completely passed me by until you sent it on. And were like, check this one out. I
No, it
was like,
passed me by till actually Rory said, this is you.
It looks.
I'm pretty great.
So you keep saying. It looks like it's going to be very, very funny as well.
And violent.
Yeah, because the trailer already has some excellent bits of like just like nice
Looney
comic
Tunes
timing.
kind of violence.
White
yeah.
dress
definitely.
is a bad choice. You know, because there's blood everywhere.
It's good.
else.
There is a
I thought you
split
meant like
second.
for a wedding. I was like, well,
I think she's allowed to wear it. But there is a shot, like a split second frame later where she's like covered, like in the white dress,
Yeah.
but like covered in blood spatter and stuff. It's like things
And
going to
that's
get
why
gory.
you don't get married. Because something like that might happen.
Exactly.
I rest my
You've
case.
always said it. You've always said it,
and
definitely.
then what happens after you get married?
You want to kill your
Kids.
in-laws.
Kids.
And kill
And
your
then-
What have I
in-laws.
said about kids?
You hate murder. Rory hates kids.
I hate
She doesn't hate murder. She hates marriage.
Hates marriage. Fair enough. So Ready or Not coming out
September 27th, so at the end of the summer months, so after you're all tired out from seeing all the razzmatazz, you want to kill some people. So yeah,
Okay,
wish fulfillment.
perfect. Looking forward to that. Now it's time for reviews of films that are out this week because that's the way the show works. And up first, it's the latest
Remember
film.
last week when your segues were really good?
They were.
What's happened?
Yeah,
weather-
I've only got
the
one
weather
good
is
weekend.
melting
mate.
his brain. That's
what
it.
is.
Yeah.
It's been too long since we've had a Marvel Cinematic Universe film, so they've kindly minutes. It's literally been 10 minutes since the last one, and they're bringing that one back anyway. But Spider-Man: Far From Home is the sequel to Spider-Man: Homecoming, which was an enjoyable film.
It was
great.
Really
Yeah.
liked it. One of the better ones.
Yeah, with Michael Keaton in it as, I was going to say Birdman, but that was his other film, as the Vulture. And of course, Tom Holland, who's one of the superstars of the MCU now as well. And this one was always going to be really interesting because it takes place immediately after the events of Endgame. So we are obliged to say, if you haven't seen Avengers Endgame yet, massive spoilers coming up.
Yeah, like scroll forwards, you'll see on the thingy when we're no longer talking about it because the telly will have changed
Yes.
to
Another-
yesterday.
Yes.
So just get, or if you're listening, then I don't know what's
I
telling
don't know what. Just go away
Stick
for a
your
while.
fingers
and-
in your ears,
Yeah. So yes, before we hear the review of Spider-Man: Far From Home, here is a little clip of Tom Holland in action.
Heads up, Nick Fury's calling you.
I don't really want to talk to Nick
Answer
Fury.
the phone.
Why?
Because if you don't talk to him, then I have to talk to him. I don't want to talk to him. You sent Nick Fury to voicemail?
I gotta go. You do not ghost Nick Fury. What up, dorks? What's up? We're just talking about the trip.
I'm here in St. Marco Polo.
Oh, I, I think MJ really likes me. That reminds me when I first fell in love.
You're a very difficult person to contact, Spider-Man. This is Mr. Beck.
We could have used someone like you on my world.
Your world? Beck is from Earth, just not ours. The snap tore a hole in our dimension.
You're saying there's a multiverse?
We have a job to do, and you're coming with us.
So this one picks up more or less directly after the events of Avengers Endgame. Like we said, we're going to be talking about some of the plot points of Endgame, so skip forward if you don't want to know anything. They reveal very early in this that yes, it is taking place in a timeline where if you had been, we called it the snapture because we're cool, but in the movie they call it the blip.
The blip?
The blip. And they come back.
That's not as cool.
It's not as cool. They come back 5 years having been gone, and when they come back,
Being blipped.
And everyone else has aged those 5 years. So that actually is the case here. And Peter Parker's like, you know what, I need to just hang out with MJ and my friend and go on a school trip. But the arrival of the Elementals and the interdimensional Quentin Beck, who's played by Jake Gyllenhaal, who in the comic books is better known as Mysterio, means that Nick Fury arrives and recruits Spider-Man to help fight off these big villains. But all Spidey wants to do is just hang out and like chill with the girl that he likes, while they go to like Paris and Prague and fancy places. No Dublin.
God damn it.
No, nowhere in Ireland.
Any mead?
Nobber.
Spider-Man and Nobber. What would he be swinging off in Nobber?
A cow, I think.
Yeah.
All we've got.
So that's the plot without giving anything spoilery away.
Yeah, no. As we were saying, we are fans of Spider-Man Homecoming. Obligatory word home has to be in every Spider-Man film title, it seems, from now on. I'm not sure actually how many Tom Holland has signed up for, but he is a super... He just seems to have nailed that young, geeky... And even though it is years since he kind of made his first appearance, he still seems like just that really young
He's still
kind of
like
teenager.
it doesn't seem like he's aged at all
No.
since Civil War.
What age is he?
50.
Jesus, he's the new
I mean, if
Paul
he was there for
Rudd.
the Civil War, like he's
Yeah, I
been
know.
around.
Exactly. But does this live up to expectations after the kind of the highs of the first one? And especially, after the unbelievable highs of Endgame.
See, that was the thing. See, one of the things I really enjoyed about Homecoming was that it actually felt quite small. The biggest and most shocking moment out of the entire history of the MCU so far was when Michael Keaton opened the door, and you weren't expecting him to open the door.
This was phenomenal.
And that, to me, that was the biggest, like out of all 22 or 3 movies now that we've seen from the MCU. So I'm going to start off with what I think is Far From Home's only problem is that it feels a bit too big. I really enjoyed it when Spider-Man was the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man who was looking after his bit of New York. Whereas in this, they actually mentioned it a few times. Somebody actually says, I think verbatim, this is an Avengers-sized problem we're dealing with. So that is for me the only downside is that it does feel like they've hit such a bar in terms of scope and scale that they almost feel weird having Spider-Man be in an Ant-Man sized movie, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But again, that's my only nitpick in it. Holland's great again. Zendaya is really, she's a bigger role in this. Gyllenhaal is the reason everyone will go back and watch this film a second time because
Really?
he's delivering a performance that has multiple levels, and a character that in the comic books, if anyone knows the comic books, his character goes a very specific way, but it's impossible to do that character like that in the modern day movies. So what they've done is something very, very smart in their interpretation of him. And there are 2 post-credit scenes. One of them is incredible, absolutely jaw-droppingly amazing, and it really sets up the future for the MCU for something very, very interesting. And the other one, I think, is going to be debated for so long until the next official MCU movie comes out because it sets up a massive question mark over everything you've just seen.
This is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, not only just the film itself, but those 2 post-credit scenes, because sometimes Marvel have used those as key kind of plot points, introducing new characters. or sometimes you've just like, oh, it's a throwaway gag, like Captain America kind of doing like one of those, like, you know, yeah, exactly, which I think was the end of
Homecoming. It was,
of Homecoming,
So you got caught in detention.
yeah, exactly. It's great to hear that Zendaya has more of a role, because her kind of sullen, mopey but really smart teenager in the previous one stole a whole bunch of scenes. Ned is great. Good to see him back as well. yeah, the guy in the chair. But it's really interesting to hear that about Jake Gyllenhaal as well, because he's an interesting piece of casting, and obviously it's an interesting kind of get up. And there was a conversation around that whenever Thor, would people buy into the dress and the look of Thor? He was coming from another world and things, but it feels like maybe there are those kind of elements with Jake Gyllenhaal as well. But so you enjoyed it overall then?
Oh yeah, like I'm really looking forward to going to see it again because,
Brilliant.
like I said, there's a lot that won't make a lot of sense till the film obviously is completely over. But if you go back to watch it a second time, you'd be like, oh right, I see where you've set that up very smartly, and it pays off very cleverly later on. And yet it does deal with the aftermath of Endgame in a smart and emotional way as well. So there's a lot to like.
Yeah, because since the end of Endgame, there's been so much airtime and writing and everything dedicated to like, but what about this? And what about that? And what's that going to be like? So it sounds like a lot of those questions will be answered there as well.
There's a lot answered, and there's, like I said, it sets up a whole new series of questions as well.
No, brilliant to hear that it's that exciting, it's that good, it's that smart and layered, and that it does set up so much about the next phase or the next stages of the MCU.
And it's still very
well.
funny.
And very funny as well.
Because
Okay,
Homecoming
perfect.
was, at times, like really, really funny.
Yes.
And this it has some great one-liners in it as well.
Brilliant. Happy days.
Is he the best Spider-Man for you already?
No.
Oh, who have we got? We've got
Tobey Maguire.
Tobey Maguire and per Andrew Garfield as well. He just
I
feels
liked Andrew Garfield.
No, I know.
He wasn't
given much, was he?
He was just in bad
films.
Spider-Man films.
Spider-Man 2, still absolutely phenomenal from that original trilogy, which was like not that long
So you're a
ago, the last 10,
Toby
15 years.
fanboy?
Oh, well, I always loved that because I remember the scene whenever Tobey Maguire was in the school corridor and the guy Flash shoots the wad of paper out of the straw at him, and it slowed down. I remember, to me, that was like a kind of a Matrix demo. I was like, I've never seen anything like that before in the way. So like I remember those scenes so clearly.
The kiss.
Yeah, and the
in
kiss,
the
of course,
rain,
like the
that's
upside down kiss,
iconic.
which is the only way I kiss people
Same.
from now on. Yeah, it's the only way.
It's
a
hard.
bit awkward,
It's
but it's
very
worth
difficult,
it. It's
yeah.
worth it. You and Ryan
To
Reynolds
rent the
upside down.
costume,
Yeah, exactly.
find his
You have to wait
building.
till it rains. But yeah, so Spider-Man Far From Home out in cinemas this week. So I think everybody will definitely be going to see that one. One of the other big releases this week, though, is Yesterday, which is a brand new film from Richard Curtis, the writer of films like Notting Hill, Four Weddings and a Funeral, and Love Actually. And you've also got Danny Boyle in there as director as well. He's got such a bonkers list of films from Sunshine, 28 Days Later. Like what else? Slumdog, yeah. So
Trance, The Life Less Ordinary.
and Yesterday, which is it seems like a romantic comedy musical about or using the songs of the Beatles. So we will get to the review in just a second. And Justine, I know you've got something to bring up as well.
I do.
But here's a little look at Yesterday.
Yesterday, all my troubles seem so far away. Oh, I believe in yesterday.
When did you write that?
I didn't write it. Paul McCartney wrote it. The Beatles.
Who?
John, Paul, George and Ringo, the Beatles. No. Stop it. Yesterday. It's one of the greatest songs ever written.
Well, it's not Coldplay. It's not Fix You.
When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes. I'm just listening to Jack's new song. Oh, yeah! What's this one called?
Leave It Be.
Let It Be. Well, rock on, Jack.
Word has got out about a new pop phenomenon.
So we were discussing the idea of the movie, and I was on board because I love the Beatles. I was like, can't wait for this to come out. But you were hesitant, Rory.
I said I didn't like the trailer at all.
No,
I
you
hated
did
the
not.
idea of it. I
Yeah.
hate the premise. No, I'm very interested too.
And you predicted, and set out your prediction of how you thought this movie would end.
So confident.
In a
were
very
you?
cynical way.
Yeah, it's
might
probably
I add.
going to be this.
Yeah.
All right.
So I am very intrigued to see if that was what the actual ending was. Now, you were saying that you thought the ending would be like a dream sequence, that it was all a dream.
Well, like the film starts with Himesh Patel getting a smack of a bus
Yes.
and going into a coma.
So he got into a fight with a bus.
Like that, like, he's in a
Come at me,
coma.
bus.
So like, it is set up quite easily for what? And then everyone's like, no, you're fine. You're just waking
Sounds
up
like
now.
he's backtracking there.
Yeah,
Do you
there's
know what I mean?
a bit of...
I'm just explaining why I feel it very easily could have been what I originally predicted the ending was going to be, which was Paul McCartney just saying like, "Oh, all you need is love," and then he's like, "Bah," and he goes back to his girlfriend.
Song, dance.
But
Is that?
it's not 100% how I predicted
Okay.
it would end. When you see it, you'll see that I wasn't
Completely
wrong.
Yeah.
But what it did was actually a little bit smarter than how I guessed it would go.
Okay.
Yes, as I said, he's a that's Hamish Patel. He's a struggling musician, smack of a bus. Wakes up, and he is the only person on earth who has any memory of the Beatles ever existing. So he then starts to take the Beatles songs as his own, because becomes hugely popular.
We said this before. It's like, you know, where do you stand morally, ethically? If you discovered that you were the only person who knew the songs of the Beatles, would you take full advantage of it?
Absolutely.
100%.
Okay, lovely people. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
That's all four of us check. We would all take their money and run. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know. Just need to clear that up.
So yeah, like there's no like, would I? There's no moral quandary here. It's like money, okay. So he becomes super duper world famous, but it begins to affect the relationship with his manager, who's played by Lily James, who I normally don't like. I don't like her normally. Really, really charming in this. Really, really enjoyed her in this film. But because he all the trappings of fame, and also he has the guilt of becoming rich and famous based off the songs that he himself didn't write. It sets up a problem with this potential girl of his dreams that he didn't realize was right in front of him all along.
Why could he not? Did he not watch the trailer for yesterday?
Or any of her other films.
Any film in general.
Film ever.
So, yeah, that's the plot.
So you were, as Justine said, a little bit cynical about it whenever it first came around, a little bit dismissive.
Yeah.
And I think Richard Curtis especially always gets a bit of a hard time from people, even though he has been proven to create massive... I think obviously his films are popular and sometimes people equate that with not being fantastic.
Sure.
About Time is fantastic.
About Time is a brilliant film,
Legitimately
of
a
course.
great film.
Yeah. Is that Margot Robbie? That's definitely Margot Robbie
is.
in that one. Okay.
Yep.
But yeah, clearly he's a very smart man, smart writer, and it seems difficult to go wrong with when you've got like the music of the Beatles in it, even if you do have Ed Sheeran in your film
Yeah,
as
that was
well, which a lot of people were put off by.
And it does feel like Ed Sheeran.
It's a Game of Thrones thing all over again, is it?
See, Ed Sheeran, there's a moment in it where he's like, Ed Sheeran's like, I guess, like, I think he verbatim says, "Oh, I guess I'm not the world's greatest songwriter anymore." And I was like, oh, Ed.
Ed, do you believe that?
And like, but I think Ed Sheeran's in the movie playing what he believes to be a heightened narcissistic version of Ed Sheeran.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the difference is.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're really like. So that just seems like it's Ed Sheeran playing Ed Sheeran.
Fair. But were you right to be as cynical as you were? Like, is it as cheesy and as...
Yeah, but in a really good way.
Oh, brilliant!
Yeah,
I'm so happy for Justine.
See, I was looking. I after I seen it, I went on to Metacritic, and this has 55. And out of curiosity, I looked at About Time, and it has 54.
No way.
So there
like
is
that's its mark on it.
Yeah. So there is like a weird split where people are either 5-starring or 1-starring these films, where they're like, I'm totally on board, or this is immediately ugh, no. And I was going in thinking I would be the latter, and I ended up totally loving it because it is really, really charming. It's so funny. It's quite romantic. There's a lovely feeling about it. The idea of the like, because initially you're like, oh, the Beatles isn't that. I know, obviously.
Whoa, no, where are you going with this sentence?
But you think
Don't you
like
say anything about the Gallagher brothers.
but you'd think like it's just the Beatles. Like the world won't be that different. But it's funny that they took out that by taking that out, it actually does have a butterfly effect on lots of other stuff that now no longer exists because they didn't exist. So it's handled pretty well. There's two problems. One is Ed Sheeran, which I don't have to go into, and two is
that's just a life problem. I think
that's just existence. Yeah. And then two is even for a sappy saccharine rom-com, the ending is just a bit too my teeth. But yeah, like aside from that, really enjoyed it.
I think we're going to love the end.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I'm like, what are you talking about? It's perfect.
Of course, like Kate McKinnon's in there as well.
Yeah. She's really funny. It does feel like sometimes she's acting in a different film to everyone else because she's a nasty talent agent, and all she does for the entire film is like bluntly insult the lead character, and she's really funny, but it does feel like she's acting out an SNL sketch while everyone else is acting out a Richard Curtis movie.
Okay. Himesh Patel, who is the lead, I haven't really seen him in anything before. I think he's just been signed up for a new Armando Iannucci project as well.
Oh, the
who
Life
was saying,
of David Copperfield?
I think so. And he
but
was
he's
saying...
in EastEnders or something, wasn't he?
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Right, okay. Another comedy as well. But his comic timing seems to be excellent from the trailer as well. Like, but does he like make a good impact in the lead role?
Yeah, he does. Like even when the film makes him not so much the bad guy, but when he's like enjoying his newfound fame, and he kind of falls into the trappings of
forgets where he's
what
come
ego
from.
and all that stuff. Yeah, like you're still on his side, which is hard to do because you can like cross the line. You're like, no, we're done. But yeah, he does keep you on his side throughout, and I think it actually comes down to the fact that now I've said this, like I'm not the world's biggest Beatles fan, but he is playing the character so well with his genuine love for their music that you kind of can't blame him for the decisions he makes throughout the film. But yeah, it's surprisingly really good.
It's a winner. Brilliant. Happy days. I suppose with having Danny Boyle in there as director as well,
That's the other thing. He it's one of the best looking rom-coms because it doesn't hint at it too much in the trailer, but like every now and again there'll be like a Danny Boyle camera move where you're like, oh yeah, Danny Boyle directed this because the camera's just like like goes off on an angle, or he'll do something interesting with like graphics or whatever. But yeah.
Brilliant. So 2 absolute crackers out this week. Spider-Man Far From Home and Yesterday. Woohoo! Double trip to the cinema.
Win, yeah.
Happy days. And it's nice to see you having some emotions this week as well. That's brilliant, Rory. Delighted. It's a lot of progress.
Sadness is an emotion.
Anger. I'm feeling anger here as well.
We're just naming the Inside Out characters now.
Just whenever you mentioned Metacritic there, I forgot to say at the weekend, my daddy actually said something that I wanted to bring up. But yeah, he was asking me about Toy Story 4, and he was watching the review of Toy Story 4 last week, and he was like, I read that it was getting a lot of brilliant reviews as well. And I was like, oh, where were you seeing those? He was like, I was on Squash Tomato there, and they had a really good market there as well. So it's normally my mommy who says something. My daddy took full ownership of that one, so Squash Tomatoes is what we'll be referring to from now on. Now it's time for this week's competition. So we've got our high clue from last week. We'll reveal the answer of that, and we've got some Omniplex tickets to give away for that one. But coming up this week, we do have a very special and spooky screening of Annabelle Comes Home, and I think Annabelle herself is going to be present at that screening as well.
She never does press screenings.
No, I know. I mean, this
She's
is a
really
big deal, everybody.
Yeah.
Big deal.
She's tough to interview.
Yeah.
Really
wants to take control of the room.
But she...
What's next for the Conjuring universe?
Nothing.
Your
Tight-lipped.
soul.
producers love her. But she is going to be around next week at that screening that we'll be holding in Omniplex in Rathmines in Dublin. We do have tickets to give away for that. But before we get to that competition high clue, let's take a look at last week's one. So it was Innocent Kingpin, Dangerous Mind Confesses, Acrobatic Mouse. And I
just got that just now.
Just there now?
Just now.
I spent too much time trying to think of Michelle Pfeiffer movies.
Oh, yes,
My
with Dangerous
mind
Mind in there.
originally was on Bill Murray Kingpin, but now I just completely realised it's from the
Yes.
Kingpin from a comic book film.
Yes, exactly. So, because I thought this one was going to be particularly easy. There weren't that many correct answers, but I do want to say congratulations to. I do have your real name here, but I prefer your online name, which was Grizzly Murphy. So a big congratulations to Grizzly
That's a
Murphy.
cool name.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I like the even
Just to
bigger.
call your son that.
I know.
What's his or her name?
Grizzly.
Sean O'Murphy.
Grizzly
Yeah.
Moore.
like-
What an amazing name that would be.
a great-
Grizzly Cashin.
There was an even bigger congratulations.
Grizzly Stafford.
That works.
That works
I
too.
really like
Yeah.
that.
Big
I want
fan
to
of
say
that.
another congratulations
Grizzly
to
Darty, GD.
Mr. and Mrs. Murphy, who named their son Grizzly.
Yeah.
Big shout out to his brothers and sisters, Panda, Polar, and
That's a great rapper name, Grizzly.
Grizzly.
Grizz-
It's quality.
Push the joke too far.
I know. I'm sorry. Reel it back in. Anyway, you won those tickets. So Innocent Kingpin, Dangerous Mind Confesses, Acrobatic Mouse. Oh, Paul, if you just got it, what is the
That
answer?
would be the adaptation of Frank Darabont's The Green Mile. Or,
Yeah, it is. The Green Mile.
Stephen King's The Green Mile.
Stephen King,
Yeah.
but directed by
Frank
Frank Darabont. Yes, so the explanation behind that one was, yes, Kingpin in the first line was a reference to Michael Clark Duncan, who
yeah.
played Kingpin.
And he was innocent.
in
Frank
Daredevil.
Coffey, is that his name?
Yes. He was innocent in both senses of the word, where he's kind of childlike, and he's also innocent of the crime that they think he's committed. Dangerous Mind Confesses was in reference to Sam Rockwell, because he confesses. Again, Michael Clark Duncan has that kind of telepathic connection with him, and Sam Rockwell's character tells him that he committed the awful crime. So he's a dangerous mind as well, because he's a killer, and he was also in Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. And then the final line, Acrobatic Mouse, does exactly what it says in the tin. It was Mr. Jingles, who's the little mouse in the film, and he performs his little circus tricks as well. So that was it, The Green Mile. Yeah.
Great job.
Good work, everybody. Good work.
Well done, Grizzly.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Well done, Grizzly. Now, though, it's time for this week's competition high clue. Gail's days are numbered. His crowning delivery, Red and Black's suspect. How are we doing on the count?
Yeah.
Okay.
Checks out.
Are you actually counting them?
I am. Yeah, no, I am. I take this seriously.
Very. So Gail's days are numbered. His crowning delivery, Red and Black suspect. For everybody who's listening, it's Gail's GALE''S. Gail's days are numbered. His crowning delivery, Red and Black's suspect. Black's has a capital B, and it's Black''S as well. So
It's harder.
do you think
Getting
it's harder than last
harder,
week?
yeah.
Okay.
It's definitely
Okay.
harder.
Rory, you look like you have something on the tip of your tongue.
I have it.
You have it? Yes.
Yep.
Okay. You've won 2 tickets to go and see Annabelle Comes Home.
But I have to bring
Congratulations, Rory.
Annabelle.
You
And
have to, yeah.
Grizzly.
She gets a VIP seat, and Grizzly as well. He's coming with us. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for this week's show. Thanks to Justine. Thanks to Rory. Thanks to Paul as well.
And to Buzz.
And to Buzz, of course.
join us here.
Thanks to Alan on sound and Fiona on visuals as well. Less fruity this week.
Less fruity.
There's still a lot of time to make it up if you'd like.
You need to get one of our 5 a day, guys.
Yeah. And
Oh.
what have we got next week?
Oh, coming soon on the Big Reviewski, we have the stars of Spider-Man Far From Home, Tom Holland, Ned, who is played by Jacob Batalon, who looks completely different just because he's completely bald in real life, and is wearing like kind of Goldie-looking chains.
Okay.
And you've also got Zendaya as well. So they're going to be coming up on next week's show. Very excited to hear from them, because they've obviously got an amazing film to promote by the sounds of it as well.
They sure do.
So they've
And
been
they've
good
got
fun.
lots to talk about.
Yes. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, I guess we'll see you next week. That it? Anything else?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go see Yesterday, right?
Okay.
But I'm going to see it on Saturday. And I'm going to ask people, when did the film come out? And then people will say,
My head hurts.
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
The
Nice.
film time.
I was going to ask people to subscribe, but I feel like we don't deserve that.
They're
anymore.
subscribing anyway after that. Yeah.
See you later. We'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.
And you're not here next week, thankfully.
Am I not?
Not after that joke.